Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again, and today we have a lot to get to when it comes to NHL 21. Finally, they have revealed some of the information that myself and other game changers have had to hold on to for months now at this point. It's great that I'm going to finally be able to talk to you guys about some of the changes here that they are implementing for NHL 21. And yeah, fun fact, no, they didn't just take the year off. They tried. They might not have tried in the ways you would have exactly wanted them to, but at the end of the day, especially given the circumstances of the pandemic and everything, they tried. And I am the first one to be extremely critical of a dev team, especially one with the EA Sports label. But honestly, I can't help but give them a little bit of credit here for what has been accomplished with 21. So we'll get into the information that is here. We'll also get into breaking down the trailer as well and catching some of the things that caught my eye about the trailer. But the good thing is anything that is mentioned, whether it be here or on the trailer side of things, I am able to fully talk about. So obviously, short description, long description of the game. It's basically, worded, how things like that are worded. First thing we get to, the pre-order bonuses, of course, it's all tied in to Ultimate Team and World of Shell Bags, which is what it is. You have your Standard Edition, your Deluxe Edition, and of course, it's been announced, Alex Ovechkin is the cover athlete for the game this year. His second time on the cover, first time since 2007. My thoughts on Ovi being the cover athlete? I don't really like repeat cover athletes. It's the first one since Jonathan Taves in the last generation. But, do I think they could have gone in a more ideal world with someone like Crosby, who hasn't been on at all, Nathan McKinnon? There are numerous high-level players that could have been on the cover, but hey, they went with Ovi. Sure, why not? It really doesn't make too much of a difference to me who is on the cover, as it did back in the day when, to be honest, I bought, the hard copies of games, which I don't really do at this point. So hey, if you're into Ultimate Team, of course, which I am at times, you guys know that. Sometimes if I think the gameplay is not overly frustrating, we've had Ultimate Team series in the past, whether it be Bork's Battalion, a set plan, Matthews versus Line, stuff like that. So who knows, maybe we'll see the return of Ultimate Team for NHL 21. But yeah, all your bonuses, of course, the veteran bonuses are there as well, which have been in the game for the past couple of seasons. So indeed, Ovi on the cover. Big thing here, right? Big thing. Gameplay and presentation. Of course, we'll get into a lot of this when we look at the trailer as well. But the big thing, of course, you would have seen in the trailer, the Michigan goal is in. Of course, Andrei Svechnikov is the big one who's bringing this into the NHL. And look, there was a leak from the Caps Gaming Twitter the other day where people were like, holy shit, the Michigan's in. This is going to be broken as shit. The Michigan is incredibly difficult to pull off. There are numerous game changers who are highly skilled players. Maybe not the elite of the elite, but it's incredibly difficult to pull off. I have tried to pull it off no less than 200 times and not scored with it. So if you think it's going to be something like the one-handed tuck, I'm sorry. That's just not going to be the case. I highly, highly doubt there's going to be anybody who can pull it off to the point where it's a guaranteed shot on goal every single time. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe by this time in December, or, by December, or, by this time next year, I look like an absolute idiot. But the Michigan's in. I said a year ago, I'm going to be like, oh, God, if they add in the Michigan, I'm just not going to be a fan of it. I expected it to be in. It's in the game. EA Sports. At the end of the day, like I said, I don't think it's going to be an overly broken goal. It's going to make for some good highlight reels, but it's incredibly difficult to pull off in the game's current state. They also added Kucherov's no deke, which is what it is. If you're worried about a broken move, to be honest, the Kucherov move might be even more broken. They have the Matthew Tkachuk between the legs one-timer, which I don't think will be as broken, but I'm intrigued to see how well it works. Like, if you start pulling off shots and scoring from angles you just shouldn't be scoring from, time will tell. Another interesting move that I think people are going to have more of an issue with than the Michigan. You are now able, when you're going around the back of the net, to bank it off the back of the net and quickly do a 180-degree spin the other way. So if you're coming from the right-hand side around the back of the net to the left, you can bank it off the back and then quickly change and go back to the right. It's a very interesting move. It's going to be tough to get used to that on defense. It is a tough move to pull off, though. Another interesting thing, slips, banks, and chips. The big thing here, the left bumper on Xbox. That move, just kind of a quick move that didn't necessarily work too well. If you're next to the boards and you hit that button now, your player will pin themselves kind of up against the boards to avoid a hit, which honestly is a pretty damn nice feature, and honestly more impressive to me than anything that is mentioned here. You can do the same thing as well, kind of banking the puck off the boards, I believe, with both shoulder buttons to try and deke the other way. So instead of pinning yourself into the boards, you go the other way. If you're on that right-hand wall, if you hit left bumper, you pin yourself to that right-hand wall while still moving forward. You try to essentially slide along it. If you do the double button press, of course, you'd bank it off the wall and go to your left into more center ice space. So there are a lot of new moves, and I know that it's not the most fun thing in the world to see as someone who, focuses on defense. If you're someone who likes to play defense in this game, and, we all know the checking system could certainly be better. The poke checking, the stick checking, stuff like that. A lot of defensive tools are there, but they don't necessarily feel balanced. Seeing a lot of offensive moves added to the game, it's going to be frustrating in a way, and you know what? I can't necessarily disagree with you. It all comes down to proper balance and, poke checking. Body checking for me is the big one where it's like, just what the hell? This needs to be better, in my opinion. But a lot of new offensive tools have been added in. Now, there are things like this, improved AI, which, you know what? I think we see that every year. Time will tell. By definition, have they been improved? Sure. Is it going to be at a level that makes the gameplay that much better? Time will tell at the end of the day. Like I said, by definition, and what they've done with the game, is the AI better than it was last year? Sure. Let's see how it works once the game is out. Same kind of deal there. There are new goalie desperation saves in, which are pretty nice, both for human goalies and computer goalies. But again, it's going to be the same thing where people are like, oh, improved goalie positioning, improved control and positioning. Especially when it comes to computer goalies, if your goalie gets scored on, you're not going to be happy. It's just kind of the way it is, but we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, with goaltenders, I thought they were supposed to be better, and a goalie gives up one bad goal, and the frustration's going to be there. Lord knows I'm guilty of that. So it's going to be interesting. Again, by definition, are they better? Probably. And again, goaltending controls have been reworked. I haven't gotten to play too much goalie, but honestly, it feels pretty good. I'll be intrigued to see what some of the top competitive goaltenders, in sixes, happen to think of the goaltending changes as well, just in the way that players move in general. There's a lot to cover there, but all in all, when you look at stuff like this, like I said, it comes down to implementation. It all looks good in terms of the hype, but how many times have we seen, goalies have been improved, AI's been improved, and then you get to November and you're just like, ugh. So we'll see how we feel about that. The whole world of Chell deal, of course, Chell's in, ASHL is in. They haven't announced a full feature set, so hey, there's some stuff. But, ranked seasons are in, which, hey, just more ways to... More things to do in the ASHL, I think, is a good thing. We get to this. Now, I cannot talk about everything that is in Be A Pro. But I can say this. For those of you that have been waiting for a Be A Pro overhaul, for those of you who have been asking for them to get back towards something that's been like Live the Life back in NHL 14, this is it. This is your year. Be A Pro got a huge spotlight this year. And again, some people are going to be like, well, what about this mode? Be A Pro's been dying for updates nearly for this entire console generation. No better time, in my opinion, for them to focus on it than right now before we get to the next gen when people are going to really be expecting some major changes. So, again, I can't talk about everything just yet in Be A Pro. But, again, for those of you who have been waiting for that update, this is the one. And I cannot wait to see what YouTubers and streamers alike happen to do with Be A Pro. Whether it be my buddy Sin for the Win Productions on YouTube or the Baker and Tymo Show on Twitch, who all do some really good stuff with Be A Pro. Hell, even 2BC. I haven't followed Johnny's stuff for a couple of years. I used to watch back in the day for sure. I'm intrigued to see what Johnny's able to do with Be a Pro. And I don't know how much he focuses on Be a Pro anymore, but I can't help but think Be a Pro is going to be a big thing over on that channel as well. Hell, it might even be a big thing on this channel. I'm excited for it. And I think if I were to be able to, tweak the AI a little bit in certain ways, or maybe hell, if the AI, if the AI is where you'd want it to be, maybe Be a Pro will be worth it after all. Ultimate Team. The big thing to mention here is a new mode called Hut Rush, which I haven't really poked too much into. So, it's another thing that they're throwing at the wall, which we'll see how it plays out, right? Because you add draft champs, and it's like, okay, it's not really as good as it could be. Hut Rush, the jury's out, for me, at least. We'll see whether or not it's something that is interesting for a little bit and just falls to the wayside, or if it becomes a very crucial and integral piece of Ultimate Team moving forward. Other game mode stuff, of course, you knew all about this. Champions Hockey League is still back in. The big thing for me, franchise mode, and I was waiting for this. Trade deadline day is once again a thing in franchise mode. And guys, I gotta be honest, it's pretty sweet. So within franchise mode, they've changed the way teams are listed. It's no longer champion or rebuilder or whatever. At this point now, it's essentially buyer and seller, and like fringe buyer and fringe seller. So it's really interesting because once you get to the deadline, as it shows, it's a real-time update. So you have, I think it's a 12-hour time window where, I think a minute of in-game time is like 10 minutes off the ticker or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But it is nice. It shows you what other deals are going down. It shows you the big names that are on the block. You don't have phones. You have freedom to do as much as you want. But trade deadline day, is yet again a thing. It is the major improvement to franchise mode aside from some behind-the-scenes kind of things, some of which have been mentioned by guys like myself and Tactics and X-Tech. So again, I'm really excited. This year for them to be like, hey, we're still going to do something for franchise mode, but it's a big Be a Pro year, I think is tremendous. And, yeah, sure, after the 10th time you go through deadline day, you're going to be like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But it is a really cool addition to actually have deadline day be a thing yet again. So it is pretty sweet. And then, of course, this bottom part here, something I am incredibly happy about. For those of you who, of course, have followed me on here, Discord, Twitter, wherever, you'll know that myself, along with other game changers, whether it be someone like Owe, whether it be people with a bigger platform, like Jesse Blake from the Steve Dangle podcast, other guys like Jeff Fayette, Tic Tac Tomar. There have been a lot of guys who have really been pushing for us to actually get a reporting feature. And is this reporting feature perfect? No, it's never going to be perfect. When it comes to trying to stop people from being complete shitheads, you're never going to be able to stop them. Some of the names that I've been sending, it was really towards the start of this year where I'm like, look, if you see a racist name in game, send it to me on Twitter. I'll send it to EA. And yeah, people got banned as a result, or at least got, suspensions. And that's going to continue to be a thing, and it's now even easier to do that. You don't have to go through me. You don't have to go through OA. You don't have to send it to anybody else. You can just essentially report these names yourself. And of course, again, yeah, EA is going to have to go through every single name. Again, some of the names that I've been sent in the ways that someone would bypass a filter to, have the N-word in their name or whatever, it's been ridiculous. Like, there's no way you can possibly program, something preemptively with some of the ways people get around these filters. But still, we have something. And this, this battle, essentially, to get them to do something happened well before anything related to George Floyd. And, of course, the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that really sparked up over the past few months again. So it is incredibly... I don't really know how to phrase it. I'm overjoyed that there's something, because it's been ridiculous how many people I've had in my small community here, whether, again, it be through YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, on our Discord, that have told me, how much how upsetting it is to see some of the stuff that people will do in terms of having their names, whether it is something, that's, again, whether it is racist, xenophobic, homophobic, sexist, like, it's ridiculous. So just knowing that it paid off, and this isn't a pat me on the back thing, it's a pat the community on the back thing, because we finally decided after all these fucking years that, hey, let's speak up a little bit more and get something done. And collectively as a community, we got something done. So thank God for that. Now for the fun part, we get to the trailer breakdown, and of course we've talked a lot already about, things that have been, mentioned, of course, and things that were showcased in this trailer. Obviously this stuff here early on, just being like, hey, Alex Ovechkin, and you figure out very early on that he's the cover athlete, of course. It's a pretty well done trailer. Oh good, there's a new update version here. Let's go back. It's a pretty well done trailer, admittedly. Of course, the first thing here is the pullback deke, which is, nothing new. Click on R3, drag it back. That's been a thing, whether or not it be for a pullback shot, the Datsuk flip, whatever. So that's nothing new. The sauce over to... Oh, good, Matt Murray got beef. There you go. I mean, just a one-timer for Ovi. Nothing too crazy. That move right there, if I'm not mistaken, is just the... it's just the Datsuk drag back into a flip. So instead of trying to do it on goal, you just do it around the defender, which looks pretty sick. To be honest, I didn't really see anybody do that. There's an example of one of the new off-the-board passes. So Ovi, as mentioned, you see how he kind of pivots. So if he just tapped left bumper, he would have done that animation just facing the other way, pinning himself against the wall and gliding. But that's the sauce pass where you stay towards the ice. And yeah, you just self-sauced it off the boards to get around the defenseman. So, like I said, hitting, and I mentioned this too, and other game changers did as well, hitting needs to be on point for that to matter. For defenders to not get completely screwed on the deal of a cool move like that being added, which again is pretty nice. Nothing really new there aside from showing off, hey, here's the check, which is promising because they added in the Ovi celebration. Who doesn't love that goal and that jersey? 4-1 Alex Ovechkin. As Austin Matthews is at that game. Just a backhand goal there from Matthews, a new celebration, no real talking points, but there you go. There's Connor doing it in the other direction. So instead of the sauce, he does that little pivot to avoid the check, I believe, there from Brody. So, yeah, another decent little look there at that particular move. There's the no deke from Kucherov, which, again, all Kucherov really does there. I forget the best way to slow down playback here. It's fine. But yeah, just the no move where he looks like he's going to pick the puck back up and go to the forehand, but just sneaks it 5-hole. If you're worried about a deke that could be broken, keep your eye on that one rather than the Michigan, is all I can tell you. And then again, here is the Matthew Tkachuk between the legs kind of one-timer. I'd be a little bit worried about that one too. And then here's the clip you guys saw that blew up Twitter. The little Svechnikov Michigan goal, which again is incredibly difficult to pull off in its current form. So the trailer, obviously it gets you a look at the new dekes and everything, but it's a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, I think, that I'm excited for when it comes to the deadline day moves, which is honestly pretty nice. And then here you get a look at Be a Pro, which is also pretty nice. There's the Crosby bank off the wall there from Williams on Pittsburgh. I guess that's supposed to be Justin Williams. Who the hell is that even supposed to be? I guess it's supposed to be a Be a Pro character. Yeah, right there, the bank off the back of the goal and the cutback. But this is a look at Be a Pro. I can't say too much about it now, but some good cinematic stuff here. Is it a full-on cinematic experience like we've seen in other modes? Not quite, but I do like the way that they put it together. So with that, guys, that pretty much covers everything. Excited to see what you guys have to think. Again, when it comes to NHL 21, right? When it comes to NHL 21, is there a crazy amount of changes that's going to push this game to an amazing level? I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. Graphic-wise, again, kind of hit the peak of where they're going to be. You know, there are a lot of people who are like, Frostbite engine. Frostbite engine's not the end-all, be-all. Look at Madden, look at FIFA, see how many people are happy about the Frostbite engine. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. But for where this is right now, they put attention into HUT, maybe not the attention into a certain aspect of it that you wanted, but they put attention into HUT, they put attention into franchise mode, they put attention into EASHL, and they gave Be A Pro, the game most in need of an overhaul, the attention that it desperately needed. Like I said, call me a shill, call me an ass kisser. I think they did well. But time will tell now as we put it into practice whether or not they hit the mark, especially with gameplay stuff. So I'm intrigued to see what you guys think. For the Be A Pro fans out there, I am extremely happy for you because, damn it, you guys have waited a long time for this. I will see you guys soon. NHL 21 right around the corner, a little bit later than normal. But I'm excited to see how this one plays out. You know, the final game of a console generation before we all move on to the PS5 and the Xbox, whatever the hell they're calling it. Ovi on the cover, though. It is a bit weird.